Welcome to Crash Test Hockey, where I talk about all things NHL. I'm mixing things up a bit. I'm trying a new series of videos where I talk about NHL news, game reviews, and previews, and I sprinkle some rumors and fantasy hockey timbits throughout. So let me know what you think of it down in the description box. And please, only, I believe 25%, 30% of the people who watch this channel are subscribers. So if that's not you, if you're one of these people who kind of swing by from time to time, please hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. I've kind of hit a brick wall, and I could really use your help. Let's talk about yesterday's games briefly, starting with the Lightning spanking the Sabres 6-1. A lot of things that came out of this game. It was Vasilevsky versus Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, at least to start. He didn't return for the second period, Luukkonen that is. And now apparently he's week to week with an injury. Subban took his place in the second period and third. He also got shelled. And now he's hurt. And he looks like he's month to month. So Buffalo's going to be looking to their AHL goalies for some help. We could see Dell. We could see Hauser. Yeah, that's scary. Hey, draft lottery, right? Nikita Kucherov had a hat trick. Steven Stamkos continues to pile up points. He had 3 in this game, including a goal. Cirelli had a goal and assist as well. Killorn continues to put some points in for fantasy hockey people, as well as Corey Perry. So keep those two guys in mind as depth adds. Let's move on next to the Panthers versus Canucks game. I didn't watch this at all because it was blacked out in my area. Florida hit them hard in a 5-2 triumph. Mind you, Vancouver hasn't played in quite some time. I want to say like around 8 or 9 days. So there's that. Maybe they were a little rusty. Maybe the new coach smell is starting to wear off. I don't know. They've got it in bad this week, though, because they're facing a lot of good teams. The Canucks will be playing next the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then on the weekend it's the Carolina Hurricanes and Washington Capitals. So very curious to see how those go for them. The next game, Chicago Blackhawks beat the Blue Jackets 4-2. I had this game on in the background. I was watching a bunch of games at once. DeBrincat scored twice in this one, albeit one was an empty net goal. It was Fleury versus Korpiasalo, the latter who has a very bad save percentage. Yeah, and what else can I say about this game? Connor Murphy scored. Never a bad depth addition. Taves got an assist. Patrick Kane got on the board for one as well. Zach Werenski continues to put some points up. Nyquist got an assist. Boone Jenner got on the board. Jenner is a guy who's less than 50% owned as well. If Columbus is playing, don't hesitate to grab him. Next up, we've got the Colorado Avalanche. Lost to the Nashville Predators in overtime, mind you, 5-4. And Colorado, it was a back-to-back game for them, so there's that. But Nashville is no joke anymore. If you expected them to be this good before the start of the season, you're a liar. Or you're psychic. One of the two. Because they're at the top of the Central right now. And I know Colorado is right behind them, and they've got games in hand. I want to say like 4. But they're still 3 points ahead. And it looks like they're going to make the playoffs at this point. Now, both teams were missing players. Nashville didn't have Forsberg. He was out with COVID. Colorado, Byram, and Landeskog, just to mention a couple of there. So there's that. But Colorado keeps on playing this come-from-behind game, which is going to catch up with them, I feel, at some point. And how long are they going to be able to outscore their problems there, too? Makar, of course, was McDavid in disguise, as usual. He put up 3 points in this game. He was a second star, including a goal that he had. Duchesne had a couple of goals here. Kunin is a good depth add. He's on a mini little hot streak. Think about him for their next game. And, of course, Ginut. I don't know how you... Ginut. He's available. I think he's less than 40% owned on ESPN Hockey Fantasy, for instance. So go get him right away. He's like on a 12-point streak, and he hits and shoots and stuff too. So that's a plus. José continues to put up points. I think he had 2 in this game. 3. Oh my God. Natushkin, keeps on putting up points as well. That's another good depth add for fantasy hockey. And Kadri just continues to have what may be a career year for him this season, and he's doing it quite quietly. He'll be a UFA at the end of the season, by the way. Then there's the Toronto Maple Leafs, who kind of barely beat the Golden Knights in a shootout. They were ahead again going into the third period in this one, and Vegas tied it up, mind you, on a 5-on-3 power play towards the end of the period to go into overtime, which solved nothing, and then it went to the shootout. Pietrangelo played like over 30 minutes in this game. Jack Campbell was fantastic once again. William Nylander had the first opening goal and also had the shootout winner. Riley continues to put up points, and my dog is barking at the door, which means there's probably a package. I'll be right back. And we're back. That was a package at the door. Thank God the dog barks, right? Where were we? Yes, Matthews scored again. He's got 23. I think he's third when it comes to goal scoring right now, tied with a few other players. Wayne Simmons got another point. He's on a mini hot streak as well. If you're a bit desperate, he hits 2, puts shots on net. He's not on the power play anymore at the moment. Usually when there's another injury or two, he makes his way on there. He might even be thrown on at times if it's not working with some of the other players. And speaking of some of the stats in this game, Toronto was winning 4-1 against the Avalanche on the weekend, and they gave up that lead and they lost the game. They've been outshot 31-7 in the third periods between Colorado and Vegas the last couple of games. 31-7! No wonder. I'm a Leaf fan. I just get white knuckles and I perspire and my heart starts pounding every time they go into the third period of the lead. It's I just get nervous, and this is why. They've also been outscored 4-0 in the third period in those two games in the third. All right, enough Leafs. Let's go to the final game of last night, which was the Penguins and the Ducks. Pittsburgh won this one 4-1, and I think that's like they've won the last 10 out of 11, something along those lines. Now, in the standings right now, they are still 4th in the Metro, but they got Malkin back, and they're charging hard. Speaking of which, he was the first star. He had 3 points, 2 of them goals last night. Jeff Carter also got a couple of goals for the Penguins too. He's a nice depth addition. He's hot again. Kapanen had a couple assists last night as well. It's never a bad idea to throw him in for a couple of games. He's very up and down though when it comes to consistency point-wise. And that's it. Let's move on to some news here, which I've got for you just quickly. The Chicago Blackhawks called up top prospect Lukas Reichel. He was assigned to the taxi squad, but it looks like he'll be able to play his first NHL game soon. He's a 19-year-old German who was drafted 17th overall in 2020 by them. And in the AHL at the moment, he's got 20 points in 20 games. And then, how can we not talk about news and rumors without mentioning Evander Kane? Yes, it's every day. He's in the news now. It's unbelievable. Now, of course, he's heavily rumored to go to Edmonton. Ken Holland did that interview about second chances that we all heard a couple days ago now. But Tampa's been rumored to be in on him as well. They informed teams that they're investigating him for crossing the U.S.-Canada border 8 days after he tested positive for COVID-19 in December. The development will likely prevent the free agent forward from signing a deal in the short term as teams await the investigation's results. So we'll see how much this delays things moving forward, seeing as how if he could sign as a free agent with one of these clubs and how long this whole ordeal is going to take. Now, when it comes to Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman, the insiders for Sportsnet, they mentioned a few other things, like if San Jose wins this dispute with Evander Kane and gets rid of his contract, could that possibly mean they might be able to use that space to re-sign Heindl and not trade him after all? Maybe that's a bit premature to talk about at this point, but I'll leave that on the burner. Apparently, Carolina and Colorado are in on almost every trade rumor so far this season. They were talking about Jacob Chikrin from Arizona and how Anaheim, LA, and St. Louis are sort of the front runners there. They're in deep on it, but Carolina has got the outside track, and it's apparently Arizona would rather send him to an Eastern Division league, but I think they can get a much better package in terms of prospects and better picks from especially the Kings and the Ducks. And of course, Armstrong knows St. Louis's prospects really well because he came from there, right? Now, Vancouver, if you haven't heard this already, the Canucks are circling in on around 5 different guys for their GM finalists, 2 of which are Patrick Alvin from Pittsburgh and former Montreal Canadiens assistant GM Scott Mellanby. I wanted to mention something about the Leafs lineup because I know Marner is on COVID protocol. I don't know yet if he's going to be back for tonight's game or not. I'll try and find out that for you before the end of this video. I actually have him on my fantasy hockey team. It looks like he's still reported as out of the lineup. In any case, when he gets back, and I've seen this circulate on Twitter for quite some time now, why not load up the second line and put Marner there too with Nylander and Tavares? I know either Marner or Nylander will have to play their offside on the left wing, but it's not a bad idea because Matthews has been playing with Bunting on the left for quite some time now, and Kerfoot and or Kase have been quite effective for them on that right side. So why not just keep that going? And whoever you don't use between Kerfoot and Kase on the first line, throw them on that third with Mikheyev and Kampf, right? To me, I would really love to see how effective that could be. Let's talk about tomorrow's games really quickly here. Today's games, Wednesday, January 12th. The Bruins should give a spanking to the Montreal Canadiens. That's the first game up. Next, the Dallas Stars and the Kraken. Could be a low-scoring game there. And lastly, the Toronto is playing in back-to-back games. This one will be against the Coyotes, whom they should be able to take this game from handily. But with Toronto, you never know. So lastly here, I want to look at some fantasy hockey players who have been doing really hot lately, who I may have already mentioned. Jeanette and Kunin from the Nashville Predators. From Toronto, Kase, Mikheyev, Bunting, especially Kerfoot, have all been really hot for a while now. Simmons isn't a bad bet either. And for Arizona, Gostisfire. All these players are less than 50% owned in fantasy hockey, so go see if they're available and grab them right away. There you have it. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, which will alert you when my next video comes out. If you'd like to support me or the channel, you can do that through my crowdfunding website at Buy Me a Coffee. You'll find a link in the description box or on the profile page in my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to be kind to each other in this crazy multiverse Omicron COVID world we're living in right now, and I'll see you soon.